Welcome back, guys. Today it's a really chilly day, and I'm out here today just moving my trail cams around for winter to get maximal action so I can get some really cool photos for you guys. So I thought I'd talk today a bit about some tips for trail camera placement and just overall things you need to consider when you're operating trail cameras in the winter time. Let's take a look. So right here I've got my Browning Strikeforce camera. It's a little bit older and it's kind of near the end of its days, but I want to get one last winter out of it. So I'm just putting in some fresh batteries. So let's talk a little bit about that. It's super important to have the right kind of batteries for wintertime use. So when we're talking about batteries for the winter trail cam, I highly recommend the Ultimate Lithium batteries by Energizer. You get a lot more time, a lot more photos, a lot more time of use of your trail camera with these. I mean, you can use the regular alkaline batteries. I just find they don't last as long. So these have really good performance in cold weather, and they're a bit more expensive, but very worth it. Here we're dealing with temperatures sometimes down to minus 25, minus 30, so I want the camera to take photos as long as it possibly can. I think the coldest on these cameras that I've gotten photos is at minus 23 or so. So that's actually really good for a camera. I think the warmest obviously I've caught in here is plus 30. So there's quite a range on these cameras, but in order for you to get the kind of photos you want, best to use batteries that are really good for cold weather use. Just back behind the cabin now, setting up one of the cameras here. It's pretty cool back here. Sometimes I've got bears back here and other really awesome critters of the woodland, including some birds and some deer and stuff like that. So let's talk a little bit about placement. So let's talk about placement of the camera itself on the tree. So if you're looking at species that are a little bit taller, for example, like deer or moose that you want to capture, you want to make sure it's at a decent height, at least waist height or more, and factor in the height of the snow there, because you won't get anything but legs if you set it too low to the ground. Of course, if you're dealing with dog species like coyotes and wolves and stuff like that, you probably want to put it down a bit lower, and foxes especially because they're kind of short. So I kind of put it lower, keeping in mind the snow depth. Now, a lot of these cameras have different ways that you can angle the camera down or up. Just be careful to angle it up too much. You're going to get snow on the sensors, and that will kind of block your view of what you want to take a look at. Many also have a little red light that you can activate to shine on the area where you want to take the photographs. It'll tell you exactly where your camera is pointing and if you can see things in a point of view. Another trick I have is to line up my cell phone camera right here and take a photo, obviously facing the opposite way, just to see what I can get in my shots. For placement of the cameras, keep in mind that the snow is going to get taller as the winter goes on. So you're going to want to put the cameras up a little bit higher if you're not going to attend to them all winter. Also, for example, if you're going to set the camera right here, just be aware that you're going to have some detritus and trees in the way. So you're going to want to clear the pathway so your camera has an excellent view of what you want it to look at. Such a windy and blustery day today as I'm going to set up the cameras. I'm really grateful for this Terra High Vis parka. I picked it up at Princess Auto and I love it. It's awesome for protecting you from the wind and the cold, and it's got that really nice thick lining inside of it, and it's waterproof. So I've been using this here at the cabin and also at home, walking the dog at night. We don't have sidewalks in our area. It's very rural, so people can always see me, so that's a real bonus. So I got this on sale actually for, I think it was like $70 about a month ago. Lots of pockets down here as well as inside the jacket. I got my cell phone in there, and there's a bit of a drawstring here on your waistline so that the wind doesn't kind of get up and get gel chilled. In regard to placement of the trail camera, it's important to place it along a trail versus across it. That way you have the best chance of getting a photo of the animal coming toward you or going away from you. If you put it across the trail, you're going to end up with minimal chance of catching them on the camera. You'll catch a foot or a tail or something like that if they're moving quickly. You'll also want to position the camera so that it's not getting a lot of direct sunlight. Southern exposure cameras tend to get a lot of false triggering from the sun. So you end up with like 100 photos of the sun just changing position in the sky. So really important that, maybe you face the camera in a northerly direction. You don't want to get too much sun exposure, or you're going to be really disappointed with the photos that you get. So here's a camera I've had for a long time, this Moultrie. It is battery powered, and Norm from True North Living a while back gave me this solar charger. So really important if you have cameras charged by solar that you maintain them in the winter. Keep in mind that you may not get the juice that you want because, you know, pretty cloudy most of the time, and it may get snow covered. So you just have to kind of make sure that you're cleaning them off so that your batteries are continually getting charged. You'll definitely want to place, cameras along active game trails. So this is an area that is really heavily frequented by deer and coyotes and wolves. So I tend to get some pretty good pictures down here over the years. It's also right by the water. So placement near a resource like water or a food source can be really helpful. For the deer, for example, I like to set the cameras in the spring and summer near all the fresh clover and fresh greens. Now, I've always been on the fence about baiting animals in for trail camera pictures. I kind of want to catch them naturally if they're in an area, but if you're interested in knowing if something is in the area, like a target species, sometimes you can use these lures, like for example, martin and fisher lure. I have this one around because I was trying to bait them in just to check out my martin nesting box. Like I'm trying to encourage martins to hang out at the cabin. Historically, they were in this range, but due to loss of the, a lot of the old growth forests, they've kind of shrunken their range a bit. But we do have a lot of fisher and raccoon here, so if that's something I want to get on the camera reliably, then I could kind of put this stuff, smells really bad, on a stick near the trail cam. These scents tend to carry a bit farther in the cold weather. Or you could use something like, fish or, an animal carcass or something like that nearby. I'll tend to use things like natural objects to attract them, or in the past I've found kill sites, say a deer kill site, and I've set up a camera near there and I've got some fantastic shots, as you guys know. When I did my eagle versus coyote photography there with the trail cam, that was amazing. I put some up the bark on this tree. There's the martin nesting box there, and Royce is going crazy. He loves that smell. I haven't put anything on the ground or anything, just higher up on the tree there. But he can smell it and he's like freaking out. So their sense of smell is way better than ours. So there you go. See, even the dogs like the smell. So even if you're trying to get coyotes on a camera or something right by here, then apparently this lure would work really well. Well, we found a burrow, and this looks like a great place to set up a trail camera. It is an active burrow. In fact, I know over the years, some skunks have inhabited in here. So, snowed over the tracks earlier, but there's definitely something here. Royce is very interested. I hope he doesn't get to meet the little inhabitant of the burrow. But I have in the past set up a pole right here so I can attach my trail camera to it. So it has a good view of the exit point of the hole. Where Royce is standing, the little creatures tend to kind of come down off the little berm there and come down here. So that's another good point, is that when you're setting up trail cams from like dens and things like that, you want to set it up away from the den. You don't want to disturb the critters too much, obviously. And, when the flash goes off or the infrared from the camera, you don't want to startle them right at the burrow, or you'll make them abandon the den, and we don't want that. The other thing too is that if you put your camera too close to what you're trying to film, this is another good tip, is that it blows out your subject, so it tends to look really white and pale. You can't see what's going on. In the past, when I've had cameras like this that have had the natural sort of regular flash that you would see, I've basically put a bit of wax paper over top so the flash isn't as strong, because it's got to kind of carry several feet, and so if they get too close, then you just don't see the subject anymore. They tend to get blown right out. So make sure you put it an adequate distance away from the den, not only to not disturb them, but so that you don't end up having too much of a close shot of them. Speaking of interfering with wildlife and stressing them out, make sure to wrap your little strapping around the tree there so that you don't have about 3 or 4 feet of strapping blowing in the breeze. You might scare the wildlife away. Looks like we're gonna have a good spot in here. There's a bunch of turkeys actually. Royce is on their trail. If you guys can see them or not. Oh, they're gone. Turkeys come by here all the time. There's so many tracks, as I've showed you earlier. pretty funny to get them on camera. Well, thanks so much for watching today's video on winter trail camera placement. I hope this helps you guys out. Have a wonderful week as always, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.